This week we got the last of the incredible graphical updates in the free-to-play areas, and this will surely get in new players because people care about graphics and that's why they don't want to start RuneScape. Well, no. And in this video I'm going to be telling you why, so let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on guys? My name is Valric and today we're going to be talking about the new player experience, something that I always bang on about, but I think is the most important and biggest issue currently within RuneScape, and how this new graphical update is not gonna fix the issues that are going on. Because it is an argument that a lot of people make, is that, hey, look, a lot of people don't play it because of the graphics, and now everything has graphically been updated, in the free-to-play areas at least, where most of the new players will starting, because, well, quite frankly, if you start out a game and you can play it for free, why would you pay for it, right? So the free-to-play areas look beautiful now, but this will not get in new players or even get players to return to a certain extent as well. And we're going to be talking about everything in this video. If you're going to enjoy it, leave a like. Join in discussion in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think are the issues and if you agree with what I'm saying, because as I said, I think this is RuneScape's biggest issue. Even though the game is growing, which is a fact, a lot of people have a misconception about that the game is dying or something. That is actually not true. The game is slightly growing. It's not by a lot, but we are not losing players by masses like a lot of people tend to say that we do, but that is just simply not true, and you can just see it in the player numbers. There's a website for it, which I'll link in the description down below if you really want to check it, if you don't believe me. But yeah, subscribe if you're new, join my Twitch channel. I'm live every single day at 5 p.m. game time, and let's just get into it. So, what is the issue, right? Well, as I said, RuneScape is not fully a dying game, because a dying game would imply that we'll be losing players and that slowly but surely the player numbers and the profits are dwindling, and you know, the game will die out and they have to close the servers, etc. That's not happening. That happened to Classic. That's not happening in RuneScape 3. The profits are going up, and even the player base, even though it's very slightly, is going up as well. But we all know that there are a very little amount of actual new players coming into the game, and a lot of people have a lot of arguments about why that is, and we're going to go through every single one of them, and I'm going to tell you why all of them are probably not true. I think they all play a part in it, and I think it's the accumulation of all of them, but I don't think those are all the biggest issue. But I will put my finger on it, and in the future actually I want to be making a full-on pitch video where I just literally talk about what I think should be done, something that like literally do a presentation and a plan with maybe even artwork and concept art and whatever to show what I think the early game should be like. And obviously I'm no professional, I'm no game expert or whatever. I just am a guy who's very passionate about this game and does research on gaming in general and likes to look into it. And something that I found is that the early game experience is the most important experience in every single video game, and that gets important by the year, because unlike back in the day, we had a few games that you could play. Now we have thousands and thousands of games that you can play. So why would you struggle in one if you could just click on another one and play that for free? Because quite frankly, that is the truth. And that wasn't the case in the early 2000s where we struggled. And there's some other psychological phenomena which we will talk about in that other video. However, one of the main issues that people always bring up are the graphics. RuneScape looks like an old, dated game. The graphics don't look in line. The new areas look beautiful, and then the old areas, or in this case the free-to-play areas, don't look that great. Well, they now have been updated. They all look great. I mean, the gameplay you're seeing is me just walking through it, and yes, another walking content simulator video. I know, it is what it is, but I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks gorgeous, and I think it really showcases how much RuneScape has grown and that there's actually some sort of an art direction. And sure, it doesn't look as great as some other games, but I do feel like it has an identity, because I feel like with a lot of new games and stuff where, you know, it has amazing graphics, I feel like they just look like other games. And RuneScape has a art style, like a proper art style, and I think it's good. I think they can work on fidelity, lighting, etc. still, but it looks good, and the textures are nice now, and it fits in together. So the free-to-play area is good, and when it comes to graphics, people play old school, and old school is growing, and even with new players, it's growing. So graphics clearly don't matter if the game is good, right? Doesn't mean that RuneScape 3 is not a good game. Not exactly. There's something else at play, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But another thing that a lot of people always say about RuneScape 3 is the UI. It is horrible and it's whatever. But quite frankly, yes, it's horrible, but not the UI itself. It's how it's presented to you. First of all, the presets are not that great because they're either too much or too little. There's nothing in between. Fortunately, they are working on adding a lot more presets to the game and actually going to be changing the regular or default preset as well. It's something they talked about on Twitter and that they're looking into and they're going to be changing. So there will be a better starter UI to begin with. However, I think the main issue is not necessarily the UI, because I feel like a lot of people who are interested in the game and a lot of people that I kind of interviewed or talked to about this game that played it and then quit it because, you know, they didn't know what to do, which I think is the biggest issue, but we'll get into it as I said, is that they really like the UI, that it's customizable, but they just don't understand how to customize it, or, you know, they took the time to customize it, whatever. But a lot of people just don't know how to do it or exactly how to do it, and you need to find a YouTube video. No, that should not be the case. The game itself should tell you, hey, look, you can open the UI here and you can open the UI there and, you know, have some suggestions and tell you what to do and whatever. Because, quite frankly, even looking at YouTube, like, sure, you can watch my guide or Protox's guide on it or whatever, but in all honesty, you'll probably watch another YouTuber that just does, you probably type in RuneScape gameplay or whatever, see what they have and copy it and don't understand why the fuck you need 5 action bars, 7 interfaces open and like 74 inventories, right? Like, people won't understand it and they just copy it and then think it's cluttered and then it's confusing. Yeah, it is, because we are at a high level and we build up to it and it is what it is, right? So I think with the UI, I think, yes, we need a better preset to begin with, a better preset in general, but a better default one. Plus, we need a proper explanation on how to customize it. Like, for example, maybe not force it, but when, you know, you tell people like, hey, or when people click on the edit layout mode or whatever, or they unlock their screen by pressing L because that's the regular keybind for it, they get a prompt saying, hey, do you want a tutorial walkthrough on how to properly customize UI with some suggestions, what you should probably have on there and what you should not have on there, right? Like, I think that is something that RuneScape should be doing. But another issue that people always bring up is the tick system, and that is why people don't play it. It feels clunky to them, which I can definitely see and I can understand, right? Because especially if you're used to playing other MMOs and stuff, the tick system can feel very, very clunky and very just bad, right? But then again, you can probably speed it up by like half or whatever, which will probably break the game and have implications that we can't even imagine, which is something that they looked into in a RuneFest. If I can find the stream, I will link it in the description below, but they showed what RuneScape looks like with a lower tick system. I think it was 0.3 seconds per tick instead of 0.6, what it is right now. And it looked very smooth, don't get me wrong. And it was a lot more responsive. But I'm very curious what it will do for the bigger picture of RuneScape in general. By the way, that what they showed on RuneFest, they clarified that it's something they're looking into. And it's by no means something that will actually release, period, right? But then again, old school RuneScape has the tick system and people, you know, are not complaining about it there. So is it a tick system? Well, obviously the tick system with abilities is a little bit different. But here's the thing with the tick system, and it's not because I'm really attached to it or something, but I feel like if you would remove the tick system, wouldn't RuneScape feel like any other MMO or RPG or whatever, anything that has abilities really, out there? Because I'm afraid that it would. Like, RuneScape feels the way RuneScape does because of the tick system. I think that is probably the reason why RuneScape still feels like RuneScape with the abilities after they went to EOC from the original combat system, right? Like, I still feel when I play old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3 that in essence, because of the core of the game with the ticks, I'm playing the exact same game. So I'm afraid that if you would change the tick system to adapt to like a smoother experience, which it definitely will give, by the way, it will definitely be a more smooth experience because there's not a 0.6 second delay between every single ability and everything you do in the game, then it will probably help with getting new players in. But I feel like you will also be pushing a lot of old school players out, as in like old school long time players out, because it won't feel like the game to them anymore. Like, to me, Call of Duty is still Call of Duty, but it doesn't feel like Call of Duty anymore, if that makes any sense. Like Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, Modern Warfare 2, those felt like Call of Duty to me. Nowadays, they just feel like any other shooter to me, quite frankly. And that's what I'm afraid of if they remove the tick system with RuneScape as well. So, what is the reason? What am I leading up to? It's the complexity of this game. This game has way too much going on. There's not a good entry point for new players, even for returning players for that matter. Because if you haven't played for a couple of years, then what the hell should you be doing in the game? I have a great guide on it. If you are interested in it, go check it out. But in general, people just have no clue what to do. And a lot of it stems from the way RuneScape has set up their experience. Because, quite frankly, when it comes to RuneScape, the tutorial is actually fine. Like, Tutorial Island is okay. It explains you the very, very basics of the game. Then you have the extended tutorial or the activity path or whatever you want to call it in Birth Rope, which is okay. It's a bit buggy, I feel like. I know it's not bugged, but it feels buggy because it has a lot of repeating tasks and it gets boring very, very quickly. And I think it's good to have something in place like that. However, it needs to be a bit more expansive. A lot more expansive, actually. And I think the main issue is just what happens after the tutorial parts. Because there's nothing. It is literally just, well, you've done the tutorial, have fun. And quite frankly, that sounds like a great thing. But to a lot of players, that is something very overwhelming. And something that they'll be like, well, what do I need to do? Because time and time again, when I introduce new people to RuneScape, which at this point are literally like 15 to 20 people that have introduced to RuneScape, they, no word of a lie, by the way, I'm not just saying this for video purposes, nearly all of them sent me the exact same message. So what do I do next? Like, I did the activity tracker thing, so what do I do now? And I'm like, well, just play the game, like do quests or something, or train up your skills. I'm like, so, but why do I do it? Like, what's the goal for it? I'm like, well, to do more quests and unlock better armor and gear and stuff. And they're like, yeah, but where do I start? And they have all these questions, right? And I am someone who can answer that because I know what to do. I can be like, hey, you know what? Focus on going to Dragon Slayer and free to play because that's a great goal. You need some good stats for it. You need to do multiple quests to do it because you need 32 quest points, etc. And it will give you a good understanding about the game. And if you really enjoy it, and then you can become a member, and then you can focus on something like Priv or, you know, Recipe for Disaster, which I know are big goals, but you can focus towards, right? Like, they're definitely goals to strive towards. However, imagine just, you know, you see an ad of RuneScape, like just an advertisement. And you think, oh, well, actually, that looks sick. That sounds like a cool game. You click on it, and then, you know, you get to that point, and you don't have a me to tell you what happens or what to do or whatever. Then you either have to go to YouTube, and good luck finding the right video for you, or you just quit. Because why would you struggle when you can play any other game? And what I generally think they should do, and as I said, I'll make a fully detailed video, like full-on pitch to RuneScape, when this actually when I have it, pretty much. But pretty much I think that there should be some sort of like algorithm or activity path or whatever where they push you to do other things. Like, you can open this menu and it's looking at your stats, or it looks at your last activities, and it's like, hey, oh, we see that you really like, you know, training range or magic. Have you considered doing this quest that gives magic experience? Or, you know, oh, hey, we really see that you enjoy skilling. Consider trading up your skill to level 20 or 21 to get a better hatchet, which you can buy here, or that you can buy in Varrock. Like, you don't have to give a specific place, right, where you can buy it, because, you know, you need people to explore a little bit, but give them more directions. Tell them where to go. Tell them what to do, because quite frankly, that is what gaming needs to do. Look at Pokemon. Pokemon used to just let you go free and just explore. See, Pokemon is a little bit more linear than RuneScape is. But then again, nowadays they have objective markers, they have more tutorials, they have constant tutorials if you want them on. And it makes it a lot more friendly for people to play. Because quite frankly, if you want to get new players in, you need to look at a bit of a younger audience than you are right now. And I'm not talking like 12-year-olds, I'm more talking like 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, right? Like the people that are understanding of a game here and that, sure, are more into gratification stuff. But RuneScape has a lot of gratification. There's a lot of levels that you get, and every single level that you get is a dopamine boost, right? So I think the main issue is just holding people's hands, and holding their hands pretty much indefinitely. Have that system pretty much hold you until you're maxed or comped or whatever. Because at some point people figure it out themselves, or understand what good goals are, or start doing research themselves. But just have it. And I think why it would also be good to have a system like that is when you haven't played in a little while, the game would actually tell you what to do next, or, you know, what would be good for your account right now. And they're just suggestions, and they should remain suggestions. They might not be the most efficient way to play the game, but they should be a good way to play the game. And I know the argument is there that there is something like that with the activity path, but it's just not good, bro. Like, it's telling me still to do Legionis or doing some weird ass requirements. And I'm pretty sure I finished the PVM path or whatever, and it's just not really that great. Like, it just isn't. And I think they should really look into it and do something with that. But I think that is the biggest issue with RuneScape, and not anything else that I said earlier. Sure, they play a part in it, but I don't think they are the biggest turnoff for people to play the game. Because From all those people that I mentioned before, they all say the same thing. The game looks very interesting and it is very fun. And it is very immersive. But then again, they don't know what to do. And that is the biggest issue. So let me know in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me or do you not agree with me? Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new. And my name is Chivalric. And I see you guys in my next video.